A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Before we start the program, let me take you through the process and rules for receiving an e-certificate for today's event. An e-certification of participation will be provided only to those participants who will attend and participate in the virtual program for at least 30 minutes of the entire duration of the program and on successful submission of e-feedback form verified by the team of observers on Google Meet. The decision of the observers will be final and no clarification in this regard will be made by the organizing team. Also, the query regarding the same will be addressed, which you need to mail at info.apswgp@gmail.com. On behalf of our chief mentors, Dr. Singhuta Pant, Dean, Chitkara College of Education, and Dr. Vivek Trivedi, founder and principal advisor, APSWGP, I, Dr. Vani Harvez, assistant professor, Chitkara College of Education, and the convener and moderator of this program, feel honored and privileged to welcome our guest speakers of today, Ms. Komal Chawla, Senior Learning Designer, and Dr. Kamakshi Malik, Educator, Certified Trainer, and Leadership Coach, to commemorate International Literacy Day 2023, today on 8th of September 2023, through a virtual dialogue. We are all very delighted to witness the deliberation from our eminent global speakers on this event. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome the august gathering of participants from varied occupations, including academicians, business consultant, social professional, corporate social responsibility professional, development practitioner, entrepreneur, government officers, public health experts, legal practitioners, researchers, social activists, students, and many more. Before we go ahead, let me give you a program background for today's event. Since 1967, International Literacy Day celebrations have taken place annually around the world to remind the public of the importance of literacy as a matter of dignity and human rights, and to advance the literacy agenda towards a more literate and sustainable society. Despite steady progress made across the world, literacy challenges persist, with at least 763 million young people and adults lacking basic literacy skills in 2020. The recent COVID-19 crisis and other crises, such as climate change and conflict, has been exacerbating the challenges. Rapidly changing global context took a new meaning over the past years, hampering the literacy progress and widening inequalities across world regions, countries, and population. In low and middle income countries, the share of the 10-year-old children who could not read and understand a simple text with comprehension has increased from 57% in 2019 to an estimated 70% in 2022. In this context, this year's International Literacy Day will be celebrated worldwide under the theme of promoting literacy for a world in transition, building the foundation for sustainable and peaceful societies. International Literacy Day 2023 will be an opportunity to join efforts to accelerate progress towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal, which is quality education, on education and lifelong learning, and to reflect on the role of literacy in building more inclusive, peaceful, just, and sustainable societies. In doing so, it will embrace the reciprocal relations between literacy and other areas of development. Literacy is essential to the creation of such societies, while progress in other areas of development contributes to generating interest and motivation of people to acquire, use, and further develop their literacy and numeracy skills. Under this theme, ILT 2023 will be celebrated at the global, regional, country, and local levels across the globe. For commemorating International Literacy Day 2023, Chitkara College of Education, Chitkara University has organized a virtual dialogue today in partnership with Association of Professional Social Workers and Development Practitioners, Chitkara School of Psychology and Counseling, Chitkara University, and Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is WICCI, and the Corporate Social Responsibility Council, aligned to the worldwide theme of promoting literacy for a world in transition, building the foundation for sustainable and peaceful societies, with an opportunity to regain the fundamental importance of literacy learning spaces to build resilience and ensure quality, equitable, and inclusive education for all. Also, with an aim to work together with academic institutions and organizations, governments, as well as communities. So that was program background. Before we invite the first speaker for today, Ms. Komal Chawla, I would like to give you a brief introduction about her. Ms. Komal Chawla is an educational professional who is passionate about learning and teaching in the higher education and vocational education sector. She has a particular interest and experience in higher education management, leadership, performance management, and the professional development of the academics for the delivery of the courses to enhance student learning experience. She is experienced in providing and delivering programs nationally and internationally for onshore and offshore campuses within the university. With a wealth of experience across all industries, both in the public and private sector, Ms. Komal prides herself on implementing learning solutions that exceed expected outcomes and meet industry standard principles and methodologies. Ms. Komal is currently employed by the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology as a senior learning designer with the College of Business and Law. She is a passionate, lifelong learner and self-driven person with professional dynamism and commitment who has been rewarded by her employer for her agile leadership style. Ma'am, we are very happy to have you with us, such a renowned personality with such an amazing profile that you have. We are very happy and delighted to have you with us, ma'am. And I request you to please share your presentation and start today's talk under the topic of the SDG 4 on grade education and lifelong learning. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wani. And the things that I was going to cover in the introduction, you have covered the most of it, but I will still go through my presentation.
Sure.
So a very good afternoon to all and a warm welcome to all the participants who have come specially and taken a time out of their busy afternoon to come and attend this International Literacy Day. So let's celebrate it together and see what's the significance of this day today. I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a sec. Okay. So are you able to, is everyone able to see my screen? So International Literacy Day that we all know, we celebrate it on every year on the 8th of September. So let's, before we start, what's the significance of this day today? So there are many factors that contribute towards the development of a nation that we all know. So we all come from a developed country, developing countries and underdeveloped countries as well. So the most important one is the development of its citizens, and the literacy provides a platform to all the individuals for their personal development, only after which they can contribute towards the development of a nation. So, by means of the International Literacy Day, the people are reminded of the importance why education is important for us as individuals, as communities, and as a nation. So, this day highlights the necessary requirements to help build more literate societies around the world and is celebrated every year with a unique and exceptional theme. So, as we have already, Dr. Wani has introduced, the theme for 2023 is promoting literacy for a world in a transition, building the foundation for sustainable and peaceful societies. So, let's talk about some of the interesting facts on literacy. So, what United States Nations has found out with their research reports from the last 2022. The United Nations consider literacy as a basic human right. And as we all know, the global literacy rate for women is only 81% as compared to 89% for men, and 63% of all illiterates are female. And India currently has the largest population of illiterate adults in the world with 287 million. This is 37% of the global total. And there are still approximately 773 million people in the world who cannot read or write, which makes one out of every 7 person illiterate. The first International Literacy Day was observed on September 8, 1966. So this year marks the 57th celebration of the International Literacy Day. So UNESCO issued a new plan which will be adopted through 2025, which is just 2 years more. And there are targets to achieve for the most vulnerable countries currently facing the literary challenges. And India is one of them. So the youth literacy rate in the Central African Republic fell from 60.81 to 36.36% in the last decade. Not just the developing or the underdeveloped countries, but also the developed countries are also facing the problem of illiteracy. So according to NWEA, Nonprofit Education Organization, virtual schooling, as we all know, like with the COVID situation, it has also affected the student literacy. Burkina Faso, with a literacy rate of 12.8, is the country with the lowest literacy rate in the world. So maybe most of you must have heard about the SDGs. What SDG stands for? These are the Sustainable Development Goals. I will just take you to the next slide. They are also called the Global Goals, which were adopted by United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end the poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people will enjoy peace and prosperity. So these are 17 sustainable goals that was adopted by United Nations. And today my point of discussion here today will be the SDG 4, which is the quality education. So these 17 SDGs, they are integrated with one another. Means they recognize that if there is an action in one area, the effect will outcome in the other areas as well. So the development must balance the social, economic, and environmental sustainability. So the countries have committed to prioritize the progress for those who are furthest behind. They are designed to end the poverty, hunger, AIDS, and discrimination against the women and girls. So this is the one that I'm going to talk about today, specifically about the SDG 4, and it talks about education and lifelong learning. So this SDG 4 goal, it ensures the inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So what's the role of literacy? It is central to the creation of societies, while progress in other areas of development contributes to generating interest and motivation of people to acquire, use, and further develop their literacy and numeracy skills. So there are total 10 targets of Sustainability Goal 4. There are 7 targets mainly, and the 3 are the means to achieve those targets, which we will be discussing in detail in the further slides here. So the SDG target 1, it ensures that everyone will get complete, free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant, effective learning outcomes. The target number 2, it's about the early childhood development and universal pre-primary education. It ensures the access to quality early childhood development so that they are ready for the primary education. Target number 3 is about equal access to technical or vocational and higher education. It ensures equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including the university. Target 4 is ensuring substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including the technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship. Target number 5 is about gender equality and inclusion. It ensures to eliminate gender disparities in education and ensures equal access to all levels of education, whether it's vocational training for the vulnerable, including the persons with disabilities, indigenous people, and the children with vulnerable situations. Target 6 is about universal youth literacy. It ensures that all youth and a substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. And the last seventh target, it ensures that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. Now, let's discuss what are the three means with which we can achieve these seven targets. By building and upgrading the education facilities that are child, disability, and gender sensitive, and provide safe, non-violent, inclusive, and effective learning environments for all. The another means is providing scholarship and expanding it globally, the number of scholarships available to the developing countries for enrollment in higher education and including the vocational training. The number third means is by substantially increasing the supply of qualified teachers, including through international cooperation for teacher training in developing countries. These are some of the figures that I have taken from the UN report from 2022, which says despite the slow progress, the world is still falling far behind in achieving the quality education. Even the pandemic has caused a big gap, and it has caused losses in 4 in 5 of 104 countries studied. So the UN reports for 2022 says if we don't have any additional, if we don't adopt additional measures by 2030, what's going to happen? So 84 million children and youth will be out of the school. 300 million students will lack basic numeracy and literacy skills. Only 1 in 6 countries will actually achieve universal secondary school completion target. And this is the graph that shows from the report what's happening with the primary school, lower secondary school, and upper secondary school. The dates are dating back from, it's showing a progress from 2015 to 2021 for a span of 6 years. But if you see this progress, the progress rate is very, very slow. I will just pick one example. For example, the primary school education in 2015 was 85%, but in 2021, it just raised by 2% to 87%. So you can see there's not a increase, but a very low increase in the percentage. So this report also says that low and lower middle income countries face a nearly $100 billion annual financing gap to reach their education targets. So these are some of the challenges that are being faced by all countries. So, but why does it matter? Why do we need to have a quality education? Because if we don't have a quality education, we will not be able to have socio-economic mobility and go upwards, and we won't be able to escape the poverty. So the quality education will actually help reduce the inequalities, and it will reach gender equality and is crucial to fostering tolerance and more peaceful societies. So this is again the same challenges that we discussed from the UN reports. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, the world was already off the track to achieve its education targets. If no additional measures are taken, so we have already discussed what's going to happen. 1 in 6 countries will meet SDG 4 target and achieve universal access to quality education by 2030. So the rest of the points we have already discussed in the report. So what needs to be done? So to deliver SDG 4, education systems must be reimagined, and education financing must become a priority for a national investment. What can we do? What can we ask our governments to place the education as a priority in both as a policy and as a practice? We need to lobby our governments to make firm commitments to provide free primary school education to all, including the vulnerable or marginalized groups. Schools needs to be digitally equipped in order to keep up with technological change. We need to keep pressing our governments to launch a national lifelong learning strategy with the social partners by introducing the programs to upskill or upgrade skills in vocational education and increase the scholarships or grants for the adults in lifelong learning. Now, I just want to, because we just discussed about the world overall, I would like to discuss what's happening with the SDG 4 in India. So, the United Nations country team in India supports NITI Aayog, union ministries, and state governments in their efforts to address the interconnectedness of the goals, to ensure that no one is left behind, and to advocate for adequate financing to achieve the SDGs. So, where is the money going? How is the UN contributing to the SDGs? So, the total available funding is 14.8 million US dollars. And out of that 14.8, 96% of the total funding is used on SDG 4 quality education. In this last point, I actually wanted to take you to the link. Maybe if we have time after the presentation, I will actually show you an interactive chart where you can actually see for each sector where these social networking companies are using the funding for sustainability goal 4. So where does India stand with respect to achieving the SDG 4? So as we know, India has a large population and its commitment to providing the education for all as well. So the main challenges is the quality of education, particularly in the rural areas. There is also a significant gender gap in education, with girls having lower enrollment rates than the boys. And the COVID pandemic has further exacerbated the existing inequalities in education, with millions of students being unable to attend the school due to school closures and a lack of access to digital learning resources. And what are the other challenges that India is facing to achieve these SDGs? There are inadequate infrastructures. We still lack infrastructure challenges. For example, lack of basic amenities such as classrooms, furniture, toilets, drinking water facilities. This all remains a significant barrier to education in many parts of the country, especially the rural areas. There are low enrollment rates. There are especially among the girls and marginalized communities who often face discrimination and other socioeconomic barriers to education. The quality of education is another challenge because the curriculum does not always align with the needs of the job market or the changing world. And we are still teaching the traditional methods. And we often fail to promote critical thinking, creativity, and innovation. There are gender disparities. As we have often said, the girls often face discrimination and violence in around schools. They are also more likely to drop out of school early and have fewer opportunities to pursue the higher education. Another challenge is about the digital divide, about the technology. Not every school is equipped with the latest technology, which is mandatory for a quality education. So there are other things like natural disasters, other disruptions, which poses challenges. Sorry. So what do we need to do to achieve SDG 4 in India? It is essential to gain the awareness regarding these issues, what we are facing, and then implement the policies that promote access to quality education for all. So there are many initiatives that are already being taken by the Indian government to achieve the SDG 4. So there are some organizations, for example, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, which started in 2001 to provide free and compulsory education to all the children between the ages of 6 and 4. There's another one, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. It was launched in 2019. It aims to improve access to the secondary education and increase enrollment rates, particularly for girls and marginalized children. National Skill Development Corporation, which was launched in 2009, it provides vocational education and training to young people to improve their employability and meet the demands of the Indian economy. Another one is midday meal scheme, which is about providing free food to the students in the schools. Then another is Digital India, which was launched in 2015, which aims to improve the digital infrastructure and provide digital literacy and skills trainings to help transform India into a digitally empowered society. I just want to, on this International Literacy Day, because we all know like the government is having too many initiatives to achieve the SDG 4 goals, but on our personal basis, what can we do to contribute to this day? We can start donating our used books that we no longer need to the people who are needy. So that it's the easiest way to give access to knowledge. You can promote and take free online courses. There are so many these in the digital era today. There are so many courses that are freely available and you can do it online. So there are many opportunities to get access to education rather than going to the university if you are not able to. You can mentor young people. You can provide tutoring and homework assistance. You can teach a language or deliver a lesson on an SDG goal. You can visit your local school and ask what school supplies they need. So you can start a school supply drive in your community. And on an individual basis, you can commit yourself to a lifelong learning journey. There is no age limit to gain knowledge and skills. This is one of the articles that are read by Dr. Veena. I haven't because we didn't have enough time to discuss more in detail. So I would suggest if you have time to explore this article in your own time. It's about achieving SDG 4 in India. It's a discussion paper by Dr. Veena, which talks about moving from quantity to quality education for all. So I will recommend reading this article to all. Any questions?
Yeah, hi, ma'am.
Hi, I will just stop sharing.
Mhm. Ma'am, my question is that, like, you're talking about gender disparity,
Yeah,
and I could see from the data that you have presented like 36 out of global literacy. So
yes,
it's a huge gender disparity gap
there
right now.
is.
Yeah.
There
So,
is.
what
Yeah,
are your suggestion for the education policy maker? Because in one year of your slide, I could see you're talking about various initiative by government like midday meal,
yeah,
subsection. Even there is a Beti Bachao Abhiyan also, which
yes.
also addresses the literacy and education accessibility for the girl child
Mhm.
right now. So this it's a huge gap. So what would be your suggestion, ma'am? Because what I feel the literacy you are defining, it sounds more as a writing your name, and there is also a huge gap with if we will add the skills, life skills,
Life
right
skills,
now.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
In
we can learn,
Indian,
even at a personal level, we can contribute our knowledge to others. What life skills? Because just yesterday in my own team meeting, we were discussing about each other team member. What life skills can I teach to somebody else?
yeah.
So
So,
even,
ma'am,
yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
I just want to add this. So we
Mhm.
need to, I guess, redefine this definition of the literacy. It should not only confine with
Yes.
the writing your
Hmm.
name or doing some calculation. We
Hmm.
are in such a 21st century where, if you look at the global scenario, we are talking about digital education and other things. So what I
Hmm.
think, start from very operational definition. My suggestion is that we need to define this term itself, literacy. And
Definitely.
yes, yeah, because
Hmm.
there are if I say female in rural areas, they are not
Mhm.
educated, they are not literate, but yes, by some of the initiative by the government of India, like
Mhm.
Kushal Yog, youth
Mhm.
education, education, skills related program, they're earning well and they're reducing their poverty. So this is why, I'm just addressing, don't you think so, on the literacy day, we can give a suggestion to the policymaker or education planner, because at the one end I could see we are talking about lifelong learning, digital education, skills, life skills, and at the same time on the other hand we are still having the narrow definition of the literacy.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yes, of course. Yeah. There's something needs to change at a,
Otherwise we won't
yeah.
able to complete, this is 2023 and we have to achieve the goals of United Nations by 2030.
2030.
But it's my worried, I'm sure everybody's agree, it's my
Hmm.
apprehension, we won't able to achieve and fill this gap of gender disparity.
And then that's the
No.
very reason that we're educating everybody through this little initiative of ours by conducting virtual and in-person sessions. Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
Dr. Veenu, for this question in your thoughts. Thank you so much, Ms. Cummins. Ma'am, thank you for the wonderful
you.
presentation, wonderful points, and that
Pleasure.
shared with all of us. I request everyone that we will take the questions later by the end of the session, because we have another speaker with us, Ms. Veti. And before I invite her, let me give you a brief introduction about her. Dr. Kamakshi Malik is an educator, mentor, and trainer who is passionate about developing individuals to reach their full potential. With her experience as a resource person with CEC UGC in Delhi, she is a respected voice in the field of human resource management. Having over 60 lectures on HR and Medica's live fire leadership channel class for her education, she has inspired countless students and professionals to pursue their dreams through education. She has successfully conducted numerous online and offline trainings and mentoring sessions, interpersonal skills, leadership skills, and remote institutes of repute like UIPS, Punjab University, and Narsi Monty Institute of Management Studies, Sherpur, and just to name a few. As a mentor with Startup India, which is a Government of India initiative, and the Startup Accelerator, Chamber of Commerce, Government of India, Government of Haryana initiative. She is passionate in training entrepreneurs at various levels, with special focus on women entrepreneurs. In addition, she is also the president of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Chandigarh chapter, Empathy and Social Wellbeing Council. She advocates the importance of empathy in creating a healthy and productive work environment through webinars, lectures, closely associated with NGOs, old age homes, and orphanage for community service. She is currently serving as the Vice President Education for Pushpalam Postmaster, a club for professional speakers, and is mentoring members for communication and leadership skills in the training public speaking. A speaker and a model at the Global Edition of Women's Economic Forum 2022, she received the exception of excellence in her vision to increase female labor force participation rate through empathetic strategies and programs. And today, she will be discussing with us on the topic emotional literacy, the way forward to sustainable and peaceful society. Thank you, Dr. Malik. We're very fortunate and delighted to have you with us, and we look forward to working with you. Over to you now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vani, for the lovely introduction. Actually, a number of things even I had forgotten. So thank you so much for reminding me all those things, and a beautifully conducted session by Ms. Komal. And I think the information that she has given was very exhaustive and very informative session, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And very rightly actually said by one of the participants, Dr. Meenu, that we are in 21st century and we are still talking of literacy as in the ability to read and write. So my take is a little bit different since we are talking of transition. So today I think we need a transition in terms of how we define literacy. So as we come together to celebrate World Literacy Day today, we not only honor the importance of traditional literacy, but also recognize the significance of a broader form of literacy that shapes our interactions, our relationships, and societies at large. So today we delve into the realm of emotional literacy, which is, I personally feel, a critical skill that complements traditional literacy, and it holds the power to transform the way we connect, we communicate, and coexist in this world. So rightly said by Dr. Meenu that we need life skills. So emotional literacy is one of those life skills that we need to inculcate in people around us, especially children. But we can't deny that traditional literacy is not important. While traditional literacy equips us with the ability to decipher written words and comprehend ideas, emotional literacy enriches our understanding of ourselves and others by allowing us to navigate the intricate landscape of emotions, and it empowers us to decipher the unspoken language of feelings, which I think is very important to empathize with diverse perspectives, to communicate our innermost emotions effectively. So emotional literacy, in essence, it bridges the gap between intellect and empathy and compassion. So in today's rapidly changing world where technological advancements, they connect us globally, but don't you feel that at times we are often left dissociated from one another on a personal level? So here, emotional literacy becomes a beacon of hope, and it enables us to establish authentic connections in an era of virtual interactions where understanding the nuances of your emotions, of the emotions of people around you, so they can sometimes be lost in the digital translation, I would say. So I would quickly share my presentation. Give me a second. Yeah. I hope it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we are talking of emotional literacy today. But for understanding emotional literacy, let's first talk of what are emotions. So emotions are reactions that human beings experience in response to events or situations. So in any given situation or any given event, how you respond, how you react is emotion. And it is determined by the circumstances that trigger the emotion. So it can be a positive trigger, it can be a negative trigger, and how our emotions come out in those particular situations. Now, if I ask you, how are you feeling today? So these are the 6 broad emotions that you would say that, okay, ma'am, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, I'm fearful, I'm disgusted, I am angry, I am surprised. So these are the 6 basic emotions that we all are aware of. And at any point of time, if I ask you, how are you feeling? These are the broad 6 emotions that will first come to your mind. Now, this is the wheel of emotions. And here you will see that there are a number of emotions. So like if you are seeing the yellow one, it's joy. In the middle, these are the basic emotions. And then serenity, ecstasy, then trust, acceptance, admiration, fear, terror, apprehension, surprise, amazement, distraction. So as you move towards the outer side of the flower, these are milder emotions, but the center one are the more extreme emotions like terror, rage, vigilance, ecstasy. But when we are terrorized, we don't say that I am in terror. So the basic emotion that comes to our mind is that of fear. But when we talk of emotional literacy, we must understand all these aspects of emotions. So there are certain combinations also. So this is an advanced version of emotions. So you can see that anticipation plus anger, it becomes aggressiveness. Serenity plus interest, it becomes optimism. Joy and trust, it becomes love. Trust and fear, it becomes submission. Fear and surprise, it becomes awe. But are we actually aware of all these words or all these emotions? Perhaps not. Then another classification of emotions is primary and secondary emotions. So primary emotions are the ones that are experienced universally, or the basic emotions that we talked of: happiness, sadness, fear, disgust. And secondary emotions, they stem from primary emotions that we just discussed. So frustration, pride, envy, jealousy, all these are secondary emotions. But we need to understand and we need to differentiate between these two types of emotions when we talk of emotional literacy. Now, what is emotional literacy? Well, it involves having self awareness and recognition of your own feelings and knowing how to manage them. Before understanding anybody else's emotions, it is very important that we understand our emotions. So even if we talk of emotional intelligence, there also we talk of self-awareness. Are you aware of your emotional state? Are you aware what triggers you? What emotions you are going through apart from happiness, sadness, anger? So if you are said, even in the flights, they always make an announcement कि पहले आप खुद की मदद करें और उसके बाद आस पड़ोस वाले की मदद करें. So that is exactly what self awareness means. पहले आप अपने emotions को समझें, only then you will be able to understand the emotions of others and manage or control their emotions. So self awareness is the key to emotional literacy. So emotional literacy means the power of naming your feelings. Now, at times, you ask somebody, how are you? Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how am I feeling. I am sad. I might be excited. I might be nervous. So that means you're not able to name your feelings. That means you lack emotional literacy to some point of time. So the power of naming your feelings is emotional literacy. Now, coming to the psychotherapist who named it, it was Claude Steiner who coined the term emotional literacy. And he posited that emotional literacy has 5 parts. So the first part is knowing your feelings. What I said that it begins with self-awareness. So first of all, know your feelings, have a sense of empathy. At times we are too strict with ourselves. We are too harsh on ourselves. So for that, we must have a sense of empathy. Then learning to manage your emotions. One, you are aware of your emotions. You accept how you are feeling. You respect how you are feeling. Now is the time that you start managing your emotions, repairing emotional problems. Next step. So if you are not aware of your feelings, you won't be able to take any corrective measures, that is repairing any emotional problem. So there are at times a number of emotional traumas or childhood traumas, and that later on during our adolescence or even in adulthood, we experience certain behaviors or certain emotional tsunamis that we are unable to find out the reason of that. But that traumas are maybe in your subconscious mind. But you will be able to get out of that problem. You will be able to solve that problem only if you are aware that this was what happened and this is what led to this. So that repairing of problems can only take place if you understand your feelings. And last is emotional interactivity. It is okay to understand your feelings. It is okay that you have accepted your feelings, but what about the feelings or emotions of others? Are you able to connect with the other person at an emotional level? So that is very, I would say, imperative in today's time. We all are going through stress and lots of issues are there, and we at times fail to connect with the other person. So mostly this is talked of at workplaces, at leadership roles. People who are at leadership roles are not emotionally intelligent, or I would say they are not emotionally literate. All they want is work without accepting how the person in front of you is behaving. Why is he behaving in that particular manner? Why is he underperforming? Why is he not attentive? Why is he underperforming? So these interactions have to be at an emotional level. So for leaders, for teachers, for mothers, it is very important to have emotional interactivity. As mother, as parents, you need to interact emotionally with your child. As teachers, you must interact emotionally with your students. As leaders, you must interact emotionally with your employees. So that is the essence of emotional literacy. So it involves the capacity to accurately identify emotions, recognize their causes, and respond appropriately. Now, here I would like to emphasize the word recognize their causes. Very important. It's okay. Now, for example, I often give this example in my sessions also. Now, if I ask Dr. Vani, how are you feeling? And you say, I'm very happy today. Okay, so that means she has the capacity to accurately identify her emotion that she is very happy today. Now, what is the cause of happiness? Now, you would ask me that किसी की खुशी का कारण जानना हमें क्यों जरूरी है? She is happy. I think that's sufficient for us that she is happy. But is she happy on somebody else's failure? Is she happy if somebody else has lost something? Do you think that she is an emotionally literate person if she is happy at somebody else's loss? I would like you to answer. No. So that is why I say it is not only the capacity to accurately identify emotions, but at the same time recognize the causes. Why are you happy? Why are you sad? Are you sad because somebody else's is happy? So again, the cause has to be found out and then respond appropriately. Now you have come to know that you are happy at somebody else's failure or your best friend's failure. You are happy. Now is the time that you feel that this is not the right thing. This is not the right cause of my happiness. But for that, again, you must identify your emotions first. So moving further, it goes beyond the surface level reactions and encourages deep introspection. So it is not just the, hi, Dr. Meenu, how are you? And she said, oh, I'm very fine. So this is surface level interactions. But when we talk of emotional literacy, we encourage deep introspections. We encourage empathy. So even if Dr. Meenu is saying that she is fine, if her body language says that she is not fine, I would just hold her hand, sit with her and talk to her at a deep introspection level, not just at the surface level that we often do with our acquaintances, at people at our workplaces. Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Even if your spouse had abused you last night, but still we say, oh, I'm fine. So emotional literacy means deep introspections, empathy, and very important is effective communication. So as I said, it is not just what words are saying. It is more, it is beyond words. It is how you convey your inner feelings. So this is not the surface level reactions, but more deeper introspections, empathetic introspections, and effective communication. Now, why are we talking of emotional literacy today on the World Literacy Day? So we all know that in an age that has been dominated by digital communication, don't you feel that our emotional cues, they are often lost and misinterpreted, leading to misunderstandings and even hostility? Even while you are sending messages, you know why emojis are there? Emojis actually convey your emotions so that your emotions are not misunderstood. So that is why, that was the need of having emojis. So the context and content is the same. So that is why we are talking of emotional literacy today, because we are digitally communicated to each other. And in that phase, I feel that our own personal emotions are lost somewhere. Also, emotional literacy is a tool to navigate intricacies of human interactions that fosters a relationship that is harmonious, sustainable, and it mitigates conflicts. So whenever we interact with somebody at an emotional level, there are chances that there will be lesser conflicts and the relationship will be a harmonious and a sustainable relationship. Then we all know that we are living in the world of social media, and social media has actually brought a surge in cyberbullying. People are harassing others, people are posting abusive comments without even knowing the person. So this is lack of emotional understanding. And as parents, as teachers, we must educate our children, our students, what cybersecurity is, what cyberbullying is, because this has a huge impact on our emotional well-being. So people are just going out and writing blah, 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 because they know nobody is there to regulate. Nobody will know who has written this. But it definitely has a great impact on our well-being, our emotional well-being. Then we all know that the pressures of modern life, work-related and societal expectations, they also cause emotional distress. And if it is not managed effectively, we again can, it can have detrimental effect on our physical as well as our mental health. So this is why we must ensure that emotional literacy is there among the people around us. Then emotional literacy, it enhances self-awareness, enabling individuals to identify and address their emotional states. So this self-awareness, it in turn promotes the mental health and resilience. So we have already discussed about this topic, and very important, it contributes to fostering empathy and compassion, promoting social cohesion. So I am an advocate of empathy and compassion, and I feel that if we inculcate these two traits in our children, I think the world, the workplace would be a much, much better, happier, safer places to live in or work in. So just ensure, just cultivate this habit of empathy. And what empathy actually means is that seeing from the eyes of others, hearing from the ears of others. So what the other person feels. Are you able to put yourself in other person's shoes? That is empathy. And with empathy comes compassion. If you are able to inculcate these two qualities in your children, I assure that the world would be a better place. Now, how can we nurture emotional literacy? So emotional literacy is a multifaceted endeavor which involves, already stated, personal introspection, education, as well as practical application. Now, I have come up with a Samvad model of emotional literacy. Now, Samvad actually means dialogue. So in Samvad, the S stands for self-awareness. So we have already discussed about self-awareness. First of all, be aware of your emotions, how you are feeling as well as why you are feeling that way. So be self-aware. Then A stands for active listening. Are you listening to people around you? Are you listening to your child? Are you listening to your student? And by listening, I do not mean just listening from your ears. You can listen from your eyes as well. Like just I said that at times we say that I'm okay, I am good, but my body language contradicts what I am saying. So are you able to listen what people are saying with their body language and even through their words? So active listening is one ability, I would say, that differentiates an empathetic person from a non-empathetic person. We all, want to just speak. We all want to be good speakers. We all want to be good at communication. We all want to be at stage. And as parents also, I would want my child to be, good at speaking. But what about listening? If everybody is going to speak, who will listen? So inculcate active listening in yourself and people around. Then M stands for mindful communication. So mindful communication here means that be mindful of the words that you are choosing. At times as parents, we often, in a fit of rage or when we are angry with our kids, we use certain words that to hai nalayak, to hai like this, to har bar fail hoga. And we have seen, I myself have used this statements a number of times, but later on you realize that what impact that will have on the emotional well-being of the child. So whenever you are communicating, be mindful of the words that you choose communicating with your peers, communicating with your children, with your students. So be mindful. Then is the vocabulary expansion. It means that apart from the 6 basic emotions that I talked of, sadness, happiness, are you able to express your feelings in an open and transparent manner? Are you able to express an honest expression of your feelings, of your emotions? So expand your vocabulary. So instead of just saying that I'm fine, you can expand that what do you mean by being fine today. Then A stands for art and creative expression. Many times if we are not able to express ourselves vocally, we can express ourselves through art and creative expressions. It can be music, it can be drawing, it can be a painting. So any form of art that you find solace in, you can just express yourselves. So that is also important, to vent out your emotions. And the D stands for develop empathy. So if you are empathetic, means you are self-aware, you are listening actively, you are mindful of whatever you are saying, you are aware of the other person's situation. So there are two words, sympathy and empathy. Sympathy means दया करना, and empathy means सामने वाले की जगह खुद को रखना. So when we place ourselves in the other person's place, or as they say, keep putting oneself in the other person's shoes, that is empathy. So have an empathetic attitude and teach empathy, practice empathy. So that is, I think, more important. Just a second. So to conclude, I would say that emotional literacy, it goes beyond the traditional notions of literacy, that is the ability to read or write. And as discussed, it is very crucial for personal well-being, building a sustainable and peaceful societies that Komal ma'am was talking of, the UNESCO agenda of the word literacy, is building a sustainable and peaceful society. But we have seen so many literate people who are committing such abusive creating such abusive climates in their offices, in their workplaces, in their homes. So who is going to address that? So even if you are educated, if you are not unable, if you are unable to understand the other person, if you are abusing somebody, it can be any form of abuse, physical, mental, emotional. So what is the idea behind literacy? And very rightly said by Dr. Meenu, and I totally, completely agree that we need to have a definition of literacy. And today in 21st century, we just cannot afford to, state literacy or define literacy in terms of just the ability to read and write. There are so many other things. There's financial literacy, there's digital literacy. So these also must be incorporated under the umbrella term of literacy. So today, as we celebrate World Literacy Day, let us expand our definition of literacy and embrace it as an essential pillar that complements the traditional literacy. So we are not saying that education is not important. Definitely it is important, but emotional literacy also must be embraced, because it enriches our connection, paves the way for more empathetic and harmonious world. So I think I would wind up my this talk with a small two-liner of Bollywood that says, "किताबें बहुत सी पढ़ी होंगी तुमने, मगर कोई चेहरा भी तुमने पढ़ा है." Thank you.
Very beautiful. Thank you so much for this lovely and very insightful session and talk. I both artists and these resources. We do have a question from Mr. Joshua Kumar. from the participants. He says, is there a difference between emotional literacy and emotional intelligence?
Ma'am, I'm unable to hear you actually. Your voice is not clear. Is it in the comments?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll just check out.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me now? Now?
So,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, better.
All right. So there is a question from one of the participants, Mr. Joshua Kumar. He says, is there a difference between emotional literacy and emotional intelligence?
So I won't say that there is a very large or very broad difference between emotional literacy or emotional intelligence. They are related to each other. The core is understanding your emotions first, and then understanding the emotions of others, regulating them, managing them, controlling them. So any other question?
All right. I request the participants, the audience, if you have any questions, you may raise your hand, unmute and ask, or else you can write in the chat box. And I also request everyone to please write in the chat box your name and email ID so that we can, get the e-certificates sent to you. And also I request Ms. Afreen to share the e-feedback form in the chat box. And this is a humble request to everyone to please fill in the feedback form. Thank you. Any questions from the participants before we actually take a formal vote of thanks to our speakers? The e-feedback form name has been shared in the chat box for everyone's reference. So please fill that up. I don't think we have any questions. So on this note, we express our heartfelt gratitude to our eminent guest speakers, Ms. Kalyan Chawla and Dr. Kamakshi Malik, who shared their insights in the World Check program on International Literacy Day 2023, aligned with the worldwide theme of promoting literacy for a world in transition, building the foundation for sustainable and peaceful societies. We are very inspired by your words on International Literacy Day, and I hope you all agree with me that it was a privilege to listen to both of the speakers. Ms. Komal Chawla, who took us on a journey of understanding the global scenario of quality education, SDG 4 targets to reach in 2030. Where does India stand with respect to achieving SDG 4 quality education? The challenges to the achievement of SDG with respect to the Indian context, initiative taken by the Indian government to achieve the SDG 4 and for achieving SDG 4 in India, how to move from quantity to quality education for all. Dr. Kamakshi Malik, where she made us all realize the importance of emotional literacy in this fast-changing VUCA world through an understanding of our own self-competencies and social competencies. Regulating it and bringing transformation was paving a way forward to sustainable and peaceful societies. We are very thankful to our eminent speakers for leaving us here with an opportunity to rethink the fundamental importance of literacy learning spaces, affirm our commitment and lifestyle design towards inclusive education, and work closely with local government bodies, academic institutions, organizations, and communities to develop actionable transformation literacy in these spaces. Dear friends and professionals, and even this requires meticulous planning and advocacy. Sincere thanks to our mentors and advice, Dr. Neil Chikara, Director, Chitkara International School, Dr. Sangeeta Pant, Dean, Chitkara College of Education, Dr. Parul Sweet, Assistant Dean, Chitkara College of Education, Dr. Vivek Trivedi, Founder of ABSWTP, Ms. Rekha Trivedi, Secretary General ABSWTP, Ms. Dipali Gulati, President, Vicky CSR Council, United Ms. Parveneet Devgan, the Vice President, Vicky CSR Council, United and last but not the least, Mr. Hitesh Kumar Gulati, Honorable Director General ABSWTP, for the wisdom leadership in restoring the team to execute the virtual dialogue experience. Special thanks for organizing team members comprising of Mr. Rajiv Kumar and Mr. Kuchan for the significant efforts, inclusive planning and timely implementation for virtual program on international literacy. Heartfelt thanks and kind applause to all of you for showing your keen interest in this event, without which none of us would have been so far. All participants, please make sure to fill and submit your e-feedback form The link is on the show notes. Thank you one and all for joining me. Special thanks to our guest speakers for today. You have really shared a very insightful session. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vani, and thanks to all the participants for being patient listeners. Thank you.
I request everyone to please switch on your video so that we can take good pictures now. And please wear your glasses. Please switch on your cameras so we can take a good picture. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you for your time and patience. Thank you to all the organizers and once again, and special thanks to Justice Sisters. Thank you very much.